The other big story, the federal corruption trial against former Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick and 3 others. Jury selection is underway. It is going to be a long trial, a massive list of witnesses, and the U.S. Attorney's Office has quite a case to prove here. Here to give a little perspective and join us for the last part of My Week is investigative reporter Jim Shaefer from the Detroit Free Press, who has covered Kilpatrick extensively and won the Pulitzer Prize for his coverage of the mayoral scandal. Jim, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Oh,
Thanks for having me today.
I'm so glad that you're here on My Week.
It's good to be here.
So are you ready to launch off into another chapter of the Kwame Kilpatrick saga?
I am. I think the first week is going to be really exciting, and then we're going to get into the long haul. You know, this trial potentially could last 4 months, so there's going to be some downtime. Yeah, I mean, just witness after witness and document after document and text message after text message. So it's going to be a long, laborious trial. Let's just hope the jury can hang in there and come up with a decision.
Yeah. A little bit more interesting, I think, also because it's in federal court, and I think when people watch court shows and they think it's all wrapped up in an hour and we can have the cameras in there and you can see it all happen, this is going to be a very different venue. Yes.
Federal court is a very staid place. You know, they do things very methodically. I was in court yesterday as they were struggling to whittle down this massive jury pool to 66 people. And there seemed like there are more lawyers in there than anybody. I mean, every defendant has got 3 or 4 lawyers. The prosecutors have got other prosecutors in there helping them. And it's by the time everybody's done talking, you hope the jury's going to be able to understand what's going on and be able to make a sound decision.
Let's talk about the jury process. There's been a lot of attention on the racial makeup of the jury pool, and then there will be on the jury. We saw the only 2 African Americans in the pool disqualified this week. Essentially, they disqualified themselves. They weren't strikes by the prosecutor. How much does that matter? How much does that give Kilpatrick credibility to complain about a verdict if he's guilty?
First, we're not sure if they're the only 2 in the pool. They were the only 2 who appeared yesterday. So there may be more. There's 225 people, I think, in the potential jury.
So we could still end up with at least one.
Yes, they weren't the only 2, at least that's my understanding. But, you know, one of them got up there, according to my colleague Teresa Baldus, who was covering this yesterday for us, and said she doesn't like the judge people. So she automatically was rejected by both sides. And then the other one was complaining about having a work schedule that couldn't be interrupted for the trial. I think it's a huge issue for the defendants. There's still a remote possibility that if this jury is seated and it's all white, they may put in a motion to go to a new venue. You know, they've challenged it already. Their appeals have not been agreed upon by the judge. The judge thinks that Kilpatrick and his co-defendants can get a fair trial. But if you seat an all-white jury, I think the trial opening statements might be a little bit delayed by a motion. We'll see.
How difficult of a case do you think this is for the U.S. Attorney's Office to prosecute?
I think the public perception is that this is a slam dunk. And I don't know if it's because of all the reporting that we've done over the years. A lot of the things that you're going to hear at this trial are things that we've already written about. But these things are never slam dunks. Bobby Ferguson is a great example. He just had a hung jury a couple months ago. When everybody thought that would be an easy case. And this case is very complicated. There's 36 counts against 4 different defendants. They're going to present the case in chapters. And it's up to the jury. You know, you don't want to overwhelm these people with different statistics and, 200 witnesses, as you mentioned earlier. It's a real challenge for the prosecution, and by no means not a slam dunk.
How much pressure is there on Barbara McQuaid to come out with at least some sort of win here? I mean, she's not had a great streak here.
Well, I think there's big pressure. They have had 17 convictions in this corruption trial, or this corruption investigation, which has been going on for 10 years. But all those people have taken guilty pleas, their deals, so that they could testify against these people in this current trial. So this is the target. This is the big kahuna they're trying to get through today. So pressure? Yes, big time.
Is it also, could it also be tough that a lot of those people have taken plea deals, and so they're looking for a little bit of a way out, and they're testifying against, I mean, is that going to be a credibility problem?
I mean, there's 10 felons that we know of who are going to be testifying, people including Derek Miller, who's probably, if there is a star witness, it's probably Derek Miller, who was Kilpatrick's right-hand man when Kwame Kilpatrick was mayor, and one of his best friends from childhood. But if you're a defense attorney, you're going to look at Derek Miller and say, hey, why should we believe you? You've cut a deal so that you can get less jail time. You've admitted that you're a felon, that you accepted a bribe, and that really damages your credibility. That's what they're going to tell the jury.
Let me ask both of you guys, because you were obviously both of the Free Press when you got a hold of the text messages and this entire story unraveled. Did you ever think that we would be at this point? And when you published that first story in the text messages, did you think that we would be seeing Kwame Kilpatrick in a federal corruption trial?
I remember the day before the story ran, I ran into Jim downstairs, and he said, you know, I'm not sure anyone's even going to read this story tomorrow.
You said that?
I think that's always the way that reporters see, you know, stuff.
You have to realize we had worked on it for a long time,
yeah.
and we were burned out because it was the hardest story that I think we've ever done. My reporting partner at the time, M.L. Elric, and I, it was the hardest story we've ever worked on, the hardest story to get actually into a shape that we could publish. And so...
Why was that?
Because, you know, we had to jump through a lot of hoops with sources. We had to make sure that the information that we had was accurate, that we weren't being tricked by somebody, and that we were doing the right thing. We didn't take any of this lightly. And by the time we finally got over the line and were publishing it, it was just such a relief to get it in that I had this skewed perspective that nobody might do anything with this information. Plus, Elric and I had written stories about Kwame Kilpatrick for years.
Nothing had happened.
Profligate use of the city's credit card, you know, going out of town, using public money to pay for posh hotels and spa visits.
And he'd managed to deflect all of that.
Yeah, nobody had done anything. So we weren't sure anything was going to happen with this. And when it did, we were just sort of floored.
You said before we started here that you said we might not see anything really new come out because it's all things that you have written about, that the paper has investigated and reported on. Does that surprise you?
It's a little scary to me, actually. In a way that, you know, geez, somebody took what we did and took it seriously. And it's gratifying, not because we're happy that Kilpatrick and his co-defendants are charged, but because somebody took what we did, independently verified it, and is, you know, using it to hopefully do some good. So we'll see. We'll see.
You also said you're almost ready for this chapter to be over. I said, but it's just beginning. It's just beginning. What do you think the next 4 months are going to be like in watching this?
I think it's going to be a roller coaster ride. It's going to be exhilarating for the first week. Then people are going to kind of, you know, do other things. You know, we got the holidays coming up, and we'll probably have a decision sometime in January. But
so I'm going to put you on the spot. Verdict. Does he get convicted on any of this stuff, or does he walk?
I predicted Bobby Ferguson was going to have a mistrial. It was a shot in the dark. I was, you know, I was just guessing, basically. You can never tell what a jury's going to do. I would hate to even guess.
Yeah.
I should say, though, the feds have lots of evidence, and they have video evidence, text messages, undercover phone tap evidence. So that's what's going to be new in this trial. We are going to see these things happening on tape.
And we'll be watching.